We start with a bottle rotating through space, just tumbling end over end forever for a long time. It's a very, very long sequence of the most exciting thing they could possibly think of. A bottle of champagne rotating through space. This is way more exciting than Captain Kirk in a reflective spacesuit and a motorcycle helmet flying around. That's what they originally wanted to do. But they decided, nah, fuck that, bottle. And anyway, they gave that spacesuit to BLT in the one episode where she was so sad she turned off the holodeck safeties. So after roughly 74% of the runtime of this movie, of the bottle rotating through space, it finally smushes on something. And it's the Enterprise. But it's not the Enterprise that we know. It's the Enterprise B. The Enterprise A is too old and tired to do it anymore after doing 2 whole movies, and also so is the crew. They're all retired. So we're having a fete on the bridge of the Enterprise B, and with its new captain, Cameron from Ferris Bueller, and Captain Kirk is there with his 2 best and closest friends, Scotty and Chekhov. Because Leonard Nimoy and DeForest Kelley said no. But Jimmy Doohan loves Star Trek so much that he did it, and Walter Koenig loves paying his mortgage on time so much that he did it. George Takei is not there. But apparently there is a Sulu on the bridge, but it's his daughter. It's Sulu's daughter, Demora. Sulu Jr. So the Enterprise B is doing a publicity cruise with the olds and the news people. And they stumble on a Star Trek episode. And for some fucking reason, even though they're in the center of this Federation, they're the only fucking one who can go fix this Star Trek episode. So there's 2 boats stuck in a wibbly space ribbon smudge thing. Then they're like, oh no, the boats are gonna blow up. And so they tried to save people off the one boat and it blows up. And they tried to save people off of the other boat and they get like a third of them and then it blows up. But they did manage to rescue both Whoopi Goldberg and Alex from A Clockwork Orange. Anyway, they're stuck in this dumbass space wiggle and there's no way out. They're like, oh, we could do this thing. And Captain Cameron's like, no, it won't be installed until Tuesday, because apparently the only thing on this ship is engines and doors. But then they realize that they can go down into the depths of the ship and press the fix the situation button. And Captain Cameron's like, I will go down into the ship and press the situation, just leave that in. But Kirk is like, no, I'm Bill Shatner and I will do it. And so he goes and does it. Ah, fuck, I turned on my Roomba. Anyway, the space wiggle ribbon presses up against the ship and Kirk is gone. And it's very sad. And that's how the movie ends. So we start watching Master and Commander Far Side of the World instead, which is a better movie. So we're on the HMS Indefatigable with Russell Crowe and No, it's still Generations. It's 87 years later, which is approximately how long it took for that fucking bottle to hit the Enterprise B. Now we're on the Enterprise D, from TV. Except they sexied it up a little bit for movies, with more panels and lights and crew. And they were going to have new uniforms, but then they decided those fucking sucked. So we flip-flop back and forth between TNG uniforms and Deep Space Nine uniforms with no discernible pattern or reason. But we're still in the halodecks on the Master and Commander Far Side of the World program, and they're giving Worf a award for being stymied by doors 1,000 times or something. And then Riker yeets him into the water by deleting the plank, and then everyone's like, ah, ha, 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 and Data goes and talks to Beverly, and he says, Dr. Beverly, why is everybody laughing? And they're like, it's fucking funny, Data. And so Data yeets her into the water, and everybody's like, that's not fucking funny, Data. Now Beverly is wet Beverly. And Data is confused because Wet Wharf is fucking hilarious, but Wet Beverly is against the law, I guess. So Picard gets a phone call on the door, and now he's sad. But then they all have to go up to the bridge because Star Trek is happening. And they have to go over to this space station to do movie. And they go over there. They send over an away team. So they go over there and find Dr. Loomis from the 2007 Halloween movie and some dead Romulans. And like, there's a Star Trek plot here. So Data's talking to his cat, and the cat's like, "Hi, I'm Spot. You should put in the emotion chip." I guess Geordi's there too, but they put in the emotion chip from season 7 of Ting, just what everybody wanted a follow up on. Picard is still not in a great mood. So Data goes to the bar with his emotion chip in, and he's talking to Guinan, and she's like, "Oh, you have the emotion chip." And Data's like, "I have the emotion chip." And she's giving him drinks, and he drinks one. He's like, "This is awful. I hate it. It's revolting." Guinan's like, "Yeah, it's what comes out of my garbage disposal. Do you want another one?" And Data's like, "Yes, please." It's good that Brent gets to have a little fun. So anyway, Captain Pecan shows up, and then he runs into President John Henry Eden from Fallout 3. And he's like, "I need to go back to the space station." And Captain Pecan's like, "You can fuck right off." And then he goes, "Time is the fire in which we burn." And then Captain Picard is like, "Okay, fine. You can further the plot." So apparently we were supposed to care about this Romulan tricorder that they found, and apparently the Romulans were on the space station looking for trilithium, which is one better than dilithium. And apparently with trilithium you can explode a star, which that's not going to come up again. It comes up again. So Data is totally slap happy from the emotion chip, and he's like guffawing on. He's like, "I finally get this joke that doesn't make sense with the canon timeline, where you mentioned a Ferengi in the encounter at Farpoint, but we didn't encounter the Ferengis until the last outpost." And Geordi's like, "Shut the fuck up." Data opens a secret door
that David played and it pleased the Lord,
and finds some bombs, and he's still laughing like crazy, and Geordi's like, "Will you please fucking stop?" And David's like, "Da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, I can't." And then Ferb's British grandpa from Phineas and Ferb shows up with a cool looking phaser, and he's like, "I'm the bad guy of this movie." And Data is pissing his fucking pants in fear. So we go back over to the Enterprise, where Counselor Troy gets to be in this movie, and she's talking to Captain Pecan, who's looking at his old pictures, and he's like, "Yeah, my family died off screen in a fire. Rick Berman killed a child off screen in a fire so I can have motivation later to do shit." It's actually really sad. Except we can't be sad anymore because we got to do Star Trek. Because the sun of the planet and the space station that they're at just is going to explode. Because, guess what? There was sun exploding bombs. And Wrecker goes over to get the dudes, and there's a pew 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 action sequence, and Wrecker's shooting and they're firing and pew 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 and they're firing phasers and stuff. And Malcolm McDowell from the 2009 Slipknot music video for Snuff is licking shots back and forth. But he escapes to a Klingon bird of prey that shows up. Wow. And they're like, "Whoa, Klingons. We didn't have Klingons in this movie before." And Riker gets Data, but doesn't have Geordi, because Geordi's always getting kidnapped. So the Enterprise and the Bop both fly away from the exploding sun. And who's on the Bop? Why, it's a couple of boob windows with the Duras sisters attached. So while Merlin from Kids of the Round Table is torturing Geordi, Riker Googles him and gets some backstory on that and find out that he's the same kind of alien as Guinan. So Pecan goes to talk to Guinan, and she's like, "Yep, 87 years ago, after a bottle flew so fucking slowly through space, we got stuck in a space wiggle ribbon, and he wants to go back because he does." And Picard's like, "Thank you, Guinan, for explaining the plot of the movie." So anyway, apparently Beverly has figured out that Data's emotion chip is stuck in there, so we still have to keep doing that. And Pecan goes to talk to him in Cerebro? What is this room? So they figure out that Rhesus 2 from Captain Simeon and the Space Monkeys is blowing up these stars to get the space wiggle to go where he wants to go, and that place is Viridian 3, a place where nothing bad is going to happen. And so back on the bop, at some point, Lursa and Beitor, the Duras sisters, have some kind of rectangle thing that looks like a candy bar, and they put it in their boobs or something. I don't know. I really don't remember this movie a lot, although the 140 messages before this would say otherwise. But the Enterprise says, "Give us our Geordi back." And they're like, fine. They have Geordi back. Hi, Geordi. So Picard goes down because he said he would, and there's a missile launcher, you know, all those Star Trek missiles. And Mr. Rourke from the short-lived 1998 reboot of Fantasy Island is there too. Back up on the Enterprise, Riker is like, "Scan for life form." And Data does it without comment. "No, not really. I'm not gonna skip it." "Life forms! Where the fuck the life forms? We gotta find those life forms. We love the life forms. The life forms are so great. The life forms every day. Life forms. Life forms. Life forms. Where are you?" Boop, 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 boop. Diddle-doop. Yeah, it's weird. They got Striper to perform that. So the Duras sisters are using Geordi like a GoPro, and he's walking around going everywhere but engineering. But finally he goes and he looks at a screen that tells him how to blow up the Enterprise. And so they try to blow up the Enterprise. So the Bop and the Enterprise are licking shots at each other, and the Bop's torpedoes can go through the shields. And Data and Riker and those guys figure out some way to find the Bop, and they blow it up with the exact same fucking explosion as Star Trek 6. We spent our new Bird of Prey explosion money on Whoopi Goldberg. And Data's like, fuck yeah. So anyway, Pecan is still down on the planet with Austin Cloquet from the 1997 Mr. Magoo movie. And they're throwing rocks and being boring. And so back up on the Enterprise, they decide to split the ship in half because they haven't done that since the last time they did that. CG Enterprise is another thing they spent the new Bird of Prey explosion money on. Some kids run around and someone drops a rabbit or something, and then the ship's in two parts. And the Enterprise butt explodes. We've all been there, right? And so then the saucer part gets knocked into the planet. The ship is crashing, and it's actually a pretty cool sequence, and with trees and rocks and fire, and Data's like, "Oh, fuck, fuck, fuck." It's important to me that we get a good, clean take of fuck. So the Enterprise is smushed. That's sad. So Captain Pecan doesn't know his ship is smushed. So he goes and fights Scamboli from Pinocchio 3000. But he doesn't fight him good enough, and the missile goes off, and then they get stuck in the time wibble space ribbon, the thing. In the space ribbon, it's always Christmas. So Captain Pecan does Christmas for almost as long as the bottle was flying through space. But then he remembers that Rick Berman killed his nephew off screen in a fire, and now he's sad. He's got like a whole pretend family, and like the wife is not Beverly. Kind of looks like Beverly, but it ain't Beb. Should have been Beb. So Whoopi Goldberg shows up because we are paying her, and they talk, and she explains some stuff about how they're in the time wiggle. The place where it's always Christmas. But she goes, I know someone who can help. And then they're not in Christmas anymore. They're at the place where the horsey bit Boimler. But then he finds Bill Shatner, and he's chopping wood. And then they go and ride some horses for a while because, you know, horses are nice. And Captain Picard's like, you have to help me go finish this fucking movie. And Kirk's like, why the fuck not? I don't see how that could have a negative impact on me in any way. So we VoIP out of the time rig wib that the fucking thing. What the fuck? So Kirk and Pecan are back at the Vasquez Rocks or before the bad thing happened, and they get to go fight Reyes from Delgo. He makes his missile launcher invisible, and that's a problem. So they got to figure out how to fix that too. I guess. Who the fuck are you? Don't you read your history? I'm Captain Kirk. I do read my history, and by history, you're fucking dead. So they're running around on this bridge and fighting, and I think the bridge is still there, and you can go to it. And anyway, Kirk dies. He gets killed by bridge or rocks or yeah, but they win. The bad guy gets tired of being the bad guy in this movie and decides to go be the bad guy in Tank Girl. Picard puts Kirk's carcass under some rocks, and then he goes and finds out that the Enterprise has been smushed. The cat's okay. Picard and Riker are in the smushed ready room set, throwing precious objects all around, like that bowl that his professor gave him. That he's like, I will treasure this forever. Back in Tink, and he's just like, ah, fuck this thing, yeet. And he finds the photo album, which is good. And Riker's like, I'm gonna miss this ship. I wanted the big chair one day. And Picard stares right into the fucking camera and goes, well, there's plenty more letters of the alphabet. And then we don't have to watch this movie anymore. Special thanks to my buddy Dave, who reminded me of the plot of this movie in excruciating detail last night so that I would do this. And also whoever maintains Malcolm McDowell's IMDb page. And to VitaZ for, sifting through all this nonsense. I literally don't remember any of the music from this movie at all. But I'm just going to assume that the end credits are the TNG theme. Life forms, you lovely little life forms, you precious little life forms. Where are you? Ba-da-boo-ba-ba-boo, ba-da-boo.